Hello everyone and welcome to the second video in the three-part series on prototyping with Dextrous. So today we're going to be looking at stage 2, making the functional prototype here. If you recall back in the stage 1, we made a quick first draft prototype. Let's say you've tested your game a few times and you think it's got real potential and now you're ready to take it to the next stage. So in this stage, we're going to clean up the visual design, make it more fantasy sci-fi. We're going to work with images. We're going to connect this component to a Google Sheets, and we're going to add faction icons with auto rendering so they appear on some cards and not others. Let's get into it. So back in Dextrous here, this is the component editor, and these are the cards that we designed for stage 1. So if you want to edit the layout now, you can just hit this edit layout button, pencil icon here, and that will take us back to the layout. So any changes here will be reflected on all the cards in our component. The first thing I'd like to do here is make the title come behind and kind of out of the side icon here. So I'm going to click that and I'm going to give it a background color in the background tab. And I'm going to go for a kind of a lighter bluey green here, something that's kind of similar to our title, but maybe a touch lighter. Okay, and then I will move the text zone over here so it's overlapping with the icon in the corner there, and I'll just make it a bit thinner and just align it in the middle. I'll give it a background shape, banner right, so we get this nice kind of pointy arrow looking thing. Now there's a problem here, and that is that my text is being hidden by the icon. So one easy way to fix that is go to text, and I'm going to turn up the padding, and I'm specifically wanting to modify the left padding, and that's kind of the internal margin, if you like. So yep, that looks pretty good there. I'm going to click on the icon zone here. I'm not sure what I tried to name this before, but I'll name it cost now, and I'll hold down shift click and click these zones here. So I'm selecting all of them, and I'll give them a kind of a fantasy font. I don't know, like Space Grotesque, something like that. That's a nice fantasy font. I'll dial up the font size of the ability a little bit to make it clearer. The next obvious thing that we're missing here is a clear image for these cards. So I'm going to create a image zone by clicking up here. So an image zone is different to text zones in that in the table, we're going to be able to select images. So I'm just going to center it here in the middle. This is all pretty rough, but yep, that's good for now. I'll just make it be a little bit wider like that. If I go to the image zone settings over here, you'll see that it has this default image, which is not actually what I want. So instead, I'm going to upload my own images for this game. So I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call it Galactic. This is a game about political maneuvering in a space council. So I'll call it Galactic. And then I'll open up that folder, and over here on my computer, I have these beautiful images that my wife has illustrated for me very kindly. So I'm going to select all these images here and just drag them straight into the folder there and upload them. And this will continue uploading in the background, so you can go ahead and click close. And now the last thing I want to do for this image is name the zone. I'll just name it image like that, main image, you can call it what you like. And I'm just going to set it to contain. And what that means is that any image that gets loaded into this zone will be fully contained in this area, so it won't get clipped or anything like that. So I think I'm ready to go back to the component editor now. I'll hit back, and you'll see I'm back here in the component editor. The layout has changed with those changes that we made, but the images aren't in yet. So what are we going to do there? If you click the image zone on the card, you can see it highlights the image cell over here, and I can hit this little image icon and it will take me to the image picker. And from here, I can go along and select new images for each of my cards. Now this is pretty quick, but it can get even quicker if you connect Dextrous up to a tool like Google Sheets, for example. So you can see my table data here is all represented in the Dextrous table, but instead of using the Dextrous table, you could instead use Google Sheets. So over here in Google Sheets, you'll see I've got the same columns that I had in the Dextrous table. And let me show you how to connect it. It's really easy. You just go File, Share, Publish to Web. And we don't want to publish the entire document. We want to publish just this tab down here, so just the cards tab. And we don't want web page. We want comma separated variables. So I'm just going to copy that link and hit close and go back to Dextrous. And here there's a little icon. So I'm going to click that, paste the CSV link in there and hit import data. Yes, I'm sure. And Dextrous is going to go ahead and import all this, but hold on, something's wrong. It says these columns from the CSV didn't match with any of the zones in the layout. So I've got a column in Google Sheets here called description and one called img, so IMG, but it's saying, Dextrous is telling me, hang on, you don't have a zone here called description or image. So you can see here my 3 cards are here, but even though this title zone has come across, this zone here isn't called img and this one isn't called description. So you can fix that either on the Google Sheets side or on the Dextrous side. It's pretty easy to just fix it in the layout here. So the key thing to understand here is that this has to be the exact same name as the column in Google Sheets. So I can't call it image, I've got to name it the same. So img, and I'm going to go ahead and call this ability in Google Sheets. I accidentally called it description. So now I can go back, and if I hit import here, refresh CSV, what should happen is that all my cards should come through. And look at that. Now we're going to add some icons to these cards, some faction alignment icons. So I'm going to hit edit to go back to the layout editor, and I'm going to create a new image zone here, and I'm going to call this icon 1. I'm going to make it nice and small and bring it down here. And I'm going to duplicate that by hitting Control D 2 times, and Dextrous will just increment that. And I'm just going to line them up here beneath the image. So they're nice and aligned now. Now the next thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that these icons are not shown in the layout unless I actually put an image there. So I'm going to shift select these 3 and I'm going to set them to auto. And that means that they will only show if they've actually got something in their cell in the table. So if I go back here, you'll see that there's no icons to be seen. But if I go along to icon 1, I can select an icon here and then choose one of those faction alignment icons, and that should show. I'm going to go along and select an icon for each of these columns just so that it knows the default folder it's looking at in should be the galactic folder. So, okay, there we go. So now you can see I can simply add these icons to the characters that need them. So for this tourist, for example, maybe the tourist has the Staria icon and the Raven icon, and whereas this Space Pirate has no faction alignment icons, for example. Now you can make any tweaks to this layout that you need to make things clear. So I'm noticing, for example, that these icons actually have transparent backgrounds and they're being obscured by the art of the characters behind them. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and edit the layout. I'm going to shift this description zone down, and I'm going to shift these icons down as well, just so that we don't get that overlap effect. So now there shouldn't be any overlap. This is looking pretty good. Now if I hit export again and go to the export page, you can see that my cards are looking a lot clearer and a lot nicer. So these are ready for further testing. And that brings us to the end of stage 2. So don't forget, you can also find the stage 2 instructions in text over here in the docs. And I'll see you in the next video in stage 3. In stage 3, we will add a nice background image to the cards. We'll add some in-text icons. We'll center those existing faction icons that we had in a responsive way. And we might add some quality of life features like text shrink. I know what you're thinking. What's that weird little cat turd? Well, it's actually not a cat turd. It's a pecan. It's a new kind of nut I've discovered. It's like a walnut, but actually sweet.